Excel pivot tables are great at summarizing data, but finding all the hidden tricks that make your data analysis faster and more effective is not so obvious. In this video, I'll walk you through 7 real-world examples that will make your work easier, whether you're crunching numbers for small businesses or large corporations. In this dataset, I've got some customer purchase data with various attributes that I can summarize the data by. We'll start by inserting a pivot table. And I'm going to pop it on an existing sheet I have here and click OK. Let's left click and drag the field list over closer, and we'll start by summarizing the data by shipping type, and I want the purchase amount. And let's also look at it by seasons across the columns. Okay, that looks good. However, I'd like to group my shipping type into broader categories for Express and Standard. Now I can either do that by going back to my data set, and then let's add a new column for shipping level. And here I need to assign a level in each cell for each of the shipping types in this column. Now depending on how big your data set is, this could be a lot of data. So a more efficient way, let's remove that column, is to simply create some custom groups. To do that, select the items you want in your group. The first group I want is Express, and I'll hold down Control. 2-day shipping is one of them, Express is another, and Next Day Air. With those selected, right-click and then Group. You can see those 3 items are now in Group 1. Let's rename that Express, and then select the next items, holding Control, right-click, Group. These will form my standard group, so we'll rename this one. And if we look in the pivot table field list at the bottom, you can see we've got a new field called Shipping Type 2. If I click on the drop down in the row area for this field, I can go into Field Settings and change this to Shipping Level. Click OK, and now it's named correctly in the field list. And I can use this field like any other. For example, I can take Shipping Type out, and instead we could say look at shipping levels with categories, and the field works just like any other, without me having to add all that data to my data set. Adding data bars to your pivot table is a powerful way to visually represent the magnitude of values, making it easier to spot trends and compare data points at a glance. And it's particularly helpful when you have quite a few items to compare, as I have here. And as you can see, they update with changes to the slicer. Let's go back to the example file and we'll step through building this pivot table. So from the data sheet, I'm going to insert a pivot table, and I already have a sheet set up called data bars. So we'll pop it there. And this one contains the category in the row labels, followed by the item purchased and the purchase amount. And then I'm going to add the purchase amount again, and we'll convert this one into the data bars. So with one of the cells selected on the Home tab, Conditional Formatting, Data Bars, I'm going to go with this green data bar in solid fill. And then click on the icon here, and I want to apply it to all cells showing sum of purchase amount to values for item purchased. And now we have data bars, but they look a bit messy with the numbers behind. So let's go into the Conditional Formatting, Manage Rules dialog box and double click on the rule. Here I can edit it to show the bar only, and click OK and OK. Alright, that's better, but I still have the subtotals for the purchase amounts. One option I have is to go to the Design tab, and under Subtotals I can turn them off. But notice it turns them off for this column too. So another option is, let's turn them on. Select the cells that you want to hide the subtotals in, Control 1 to open the Format Cells dialog box, and then under Custom, in the Type, enter 3 semicolons, and that will hide all text and numbers in those cells. Of course, with that setting, you don't also need to go into the Conditional Formatting, Manage Rules dialog box and check the box here to show the bar only, because the number format has taken care of it. Let's just enter a space up here in the heading to hide that title because it's not required. You can resize the column and notice that the data bars adjust accordingly. And as we saw earlier, we can right-click a field, add it as a slicer. It's hiding behind the field list, so let's bring it out And as we select items in the slicer, you can see that the data bars automatically adjust. Now, one finishing touch, let me go in and change the number formatting here so that it has a comma separator, because that's one thing that drives me crazy, is big numbers without comma separators. While slicers are an intuitive way to filter our pivot tables, they are rather large. And if we're building pivot tables as part of our exploratory data analysis, then there are more streamlined ways to filter our data. Here I have a pivot table with the purchase amounts by category and item. But let's say I want to focus on a particular location and season. All I need to do is add those fields into my filters area. Left click and drag them in, and then they appear at the top of the pivot table. I can click on the drop down here and select a season from the list and click OK. And now my pivot table is filtered for winter. And for the location drop down, you can see there are lots of states to choose from. So I can use the search field here to narrow down the list. Typing in AL, I get Alabama, Alaska, and California. I can check the box at the bottom to select multiple items. For example, let's deselect California and we'll go with Alabama and Alaska. Click OK, and now my pivot table is filtered. And of course, you can use filters in the pivot table with slicers. So I can add gender as a slicer. Let's bring it over here and we'll just format it with 2 columns so we can make it a bit smaller. And I'll just pop it above the pivot table. And this is really handy if you have charts connected to the pivot table. So let's just open the selection pane and I'll unhide the chart that I've got hidden. So here, if I wanted to move the chart and the slicer onto a report page, I could allow my users to filter the chart with the slicer while maintaining the filters that I've set up in the pivot table without allowing the user to change those at all. And this is particularly handy if you create dashboards. If you're finding these pivot table tips useful, you're going to love my Excel dashboard course. Pivot tables are the perfect tool for building dynamic, auto-updating dashboards. And in my course, I show you how to take them to the next level. So whether you're tracking KPIs, financial reports, or business performance, my step-by-step lessons will help you create stunning interactive dashboards that update with one click. And with my support and mentoring, you'll be impressing your boss in no time. You'll find a link to the course in the video description so you can get started today. Here I have a pivot table that displays the average review ratings by state and season with the category in the filters area. Now let's say I have a different manager for each category group and I need to give them a copy of this report filtered to only display their data. One way is to right click and create a copy of the sheet and then filter the pivot table and repeat that for each category. But a far quicker way is to go to the Pivot Table Analyze tab, click on Options, and then Show Report Filter Pages. Let's do that. It asks me which filter I want the report pages for. Well, I only have one field in the filter list, so that's category. Click OK, and now I have a sheet for accessories, clothing, footwear, and outerwear. All done. And all I need to do is make a copy of that page and put it in a new file and send that off to my manager, which you could even automate with a macro. Now this technique is also super handy if you need to extract subsets of your source data into separate sheets, and it's far more robust than using formulas. Let's have a look. We'll insert a pivot table and I'll just pop it on a new sheet. So here I want to add all of the fields to the row labels. Just left click and drag them in, and I'll just fast forward while I do the rest. And then go to the Design tab, Report Layout, Show in Tabular Form. And then we'll turn off the subtotals and the grand totals. And on the Pivot Table Analyze tab, we'll get rid of the buttons. So there's my data. And if we go back to the source data, you can see we have the same fields. And let's say I want to just create extracts based on the category. All I need to do is move the category field to the filters. And then I've got my categories here. I can go to the Pivot Table Analyze tab, click on the Options drop-down, and Show Report Filter Pages. And that will create a page for each category filtered accordingly. And then if my data updates To get an update into my pivot tables, all I need to do is go to the Data tab and refresh all. And this is far more robust than writing formulas to extract this data into separate sheets. Plus, it's super quick to update. Let's say I want to find out how many different items are purchased by category. So let's insert a pivot table, and I'll pop it on the sheet called distinct count. And here I want the count of the items purchased by category. Now it gives me the count of items, but what I want is the distinct count. So let's right click, summarize values by, and you can see distinct count is grayed out. And that's because regular pivot tables can't perform a distinct count. So let's clear that pivot table, and instead we'll repeat the process, insert pivot table, existing sheet, pop it on the distinct count sheet, and this time check the box, add this data to the data model, and click OK. Let's just make the field list a bit bigger. I'm going to count my items purchased by category, and let's add the items purchased in again. And for this one, I'm going to right click, summarize values by distinct count. And now we can see there are 8 different types of accessories, 11 different types of clothing, and 4 footwear, and so on. Here I've got a list of employees and their shift roster by date. It's in a table called shifts, and that will be important later. Now I'd like to see this data in a matrix. Let's summarize it with a pivot table, and we'll just pop it here beside the data. So I want the name in the rows, the date in the columns, and I want to see the shifts for those people by date. However, you'll notice all it can do is count the items, and that's not what I want. So let's delete that pivot table, and instead we'll insert a pivot table. We'll pop it on this sheet again so we can see it beside, and this time we'll add it to the data model. I'll click OK. So again, we want the name in the rows, the date in the columns, and instead of putting the shift in the values area, I'm going to write a DAX measure. So we'll go to the Power Pivot tab, Measures, New Measure. Let's bring it over here. The table is my shifts table, and the measure will be called shift roster. And the formula is going to use the DAX function concatenate X, and that's just going to iterate over all of the rows, concatenating the shift text. So the table is my shifts table. The expression is just the shift table shift column. And then because there's only one possible shift per person per date, I don't need to use any of the delimiter or other optional arguments. So we'll close the formula. Let's check that it's correct. No errors. Perfect. Let's click OK. And you can see it's automatically added to the pivot table. Now we don't need the grand totals for the rows and the columns. All that does is join all of the instances of the text. So let's go to the Design tab, and we'll turn off grand totals for rows and columns. And now we have a table that shows the shift for each person for each date. Now what if we wanted to see which employees were on each shift? I'm just going to Control-C to copy that pivot table, and then instead of my custom measure for shift roster, we'll write a new one under Power Pivot, and we'll create a new measure. This one will be called staff roster, and again we're going to use concatenate X on the shifts table, and this time we want the shift name column. And because we could have multiple names, we'll use a comma and a space as the delimiter. And then what order do we want it sorted in? Well, we'll sort it based on the names and in ascending order. Close parentheses on concatenate X. Let's just check that there's no errors. Click OK. And instead of having the name in the rows, what we want is the shift. And now we have the shifts and the employees that are rostered on for each date. Pretty cool. Shout out to Bill Jelen, aka Mr. Excel, who taught me this trick. You should check out his channel. It's a goldmine of Excel tricks. One of my bugbears with pivot tables is having to constantly apply number formatting with commas and no decimal places. And with regular pivot tables, you can't set a default number format. But when you add your data to the Power Pivot data model, you can. To do this, go to the Power Pivot tab of the ribbon, Manage, and this will open the Power Pivot window. Find the table that you want the number formatting applied to. This is my purchases data. Select the column that you want to format, and then on the Home tab, in the formatting group, we can apply different formatting. So we've got currencies, percentages. I want to apply a comma separator. Notice it adds a decimal place with 2 zeros. Let's remove those. And then I'll go back to Excel and I'll insert a pivot table. This time I want from data model. And we're going to place it there. That's fine. Click OK. Here's my field list. So I've got 2 tables in my model. My data's in the table called Table 1. So here, let's look at my data by category and purchase amount. And just like that, it's formatted with comma separators and no decimal places. If you have a touch of OCD about your number formats, then this tip alone is going to save you hours every year. Slicers are one of my favorite pivot table tools, especially for building dashboards because they're intuitive to use, but they're space hogs. In this video, I show you the secret to transforming slicers from chunky to sleek and stylish. I'll see you there.